Hey everyone, Michael Pickens here, host of the Libertarian Leadership Daily Live Stream, where we interview libertarian candidates and activists from all around the country doing some amazing things to advance the cause of liberty. Today we have Mike Hall, who is running for Oklahoma Commissioner of Labor. He is a problem solver, he is not a politician, and he's stepping in this race to make a positive difference. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So, first question I always ask, why are you running for this office?
It's a good question. I have a good job, a solid employer, so why would I want to leave work to work for the state government? I guess I'm running for two straightforward reasons, really. The first, as is the case with probably most libertarians who decide to run for office, I believe that when we have more freedom and less bureaucracy, everyone wins. I've observed for years our individual liberties eroding, our economy suffering because of a government that never stops growing. Every new tax and unnecessary regulation just kills opportunity. So it's time, you know, I guess the effort is to step in and stand in the way of the growth of that government to protect our economic freedoms. Particularly, I'm thinking more down the road. Someday we're going to be leaving conditions to future generations, and so I don't want them to inherit a mess that we could have prevented. So
Yeah.
And then,
so those are, yep.
I was just going to say, secondly, it's kind of that was more of a philosophical reason, but the other reason, I guess, is just on the ballot access thing, obviously, or I don't have to, I'm not telling libertarians anything new, but our two-party system is a broken duopoly. It does not solve problems, it just creates enemies, to blame. And then there's a constant cycle of lesser of two evils choices. So I believe we need more options on the ballot. We need easier ballot access. We need real debates. With the duopoly, you just hear debates where it's just what they think voters want to hear. So I think we need to really debate the issues and present a clear choice. So
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great reasons. I live in a state that the majority of people are moving away from, right? Because the government is making bad policy decisions, increased taxation, increased regulation. But then I look, I love living in Washington State, but I look around at some of the states that are moving to Texas, Florida, Arizona, and it's like those states have problems too. Those
sure.
governments are growing also. Their taxes are going up, the regulations are going up, and it's like, when do we just put our foot down and say enough is enough and then stand up against the governments in our states doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, honestly, initially, I just stepped up because at our state party convention earlier this year, someone was just simply encouraging members to get on the ballot to help kind of normalize the Libertarian Party option. But once I picked the Commissioner of Labor to run for and researched more about the state's Department of Labor, man, I realized there are some areas that could absolutely be improved, and I could raise as issues to run on. And the Department of Labor here seems to be to be a department where a libertarian manager could actually move the needle, more or less by freezing its growth, but possibly even cutting its size, removing certain regulations, and then the overall goal, I guess, would be to cut the overall budget of the department to allow taxes to be cut.
Yeah. So the Department of Labor seems like a good opportunity since it's not going to be a high-profile race. I didn't even know Department of Labor existed.
Yeah, probably each state has one in some form or fashion. But
yeah. So what does the Commissioner of Labor do?
It's my understanding is it's actually a constitutional position according to the state constitution, and it's is essentially the manager of the Department of Labor, and that agency is tasked with protecting the state's workforce and general public. The overall purpose is to promote welfare of wage earners, workplace rights, and like standards for safety. Just a number of things like that that are public safety related or occupational health and safety related. They get involved in asbestos abatement and licensing, and then even safety inspections at various facilities. So it's there's a lot actually that it does. That some of it, I probably would focus on the more essential roles of the department and try to reduce the reach of the other parts. But yeah, there's a lot of issues that can come about from those roles that the department is tasked with. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that leads to my next question: is what would you do, getting elected as a libertarian, to make it better, to make it easier on businesses and make it better for workers?
Yeah. Well, like right now, it's not so much what I would do, but there's a state question that's going to be voted on Tuesday, 8:32, I believe, here in Oklahoma, and it's to raise the minimum wage, and so that's a hot topic right now. But despite the good intentions of minimum wage laws, they have unintended consequences, like a lot of them do. But the thing I would advocate for is market-based wages, and so I'm trying to encourage voters to reject State Question 832 right now, but I believe wages should be kind of a private contract between two consenting parties. If you have a price floor, then in general economics, price floors caused by the government tend to create surpluses, and that means workers without jobs. So I think the true minimum wage, as some economists have said, is really zero. If someone loses their job because they get laid off because the employer can no longer afford the payroll, then that's a problem, and it doesn't help the people that was intended to help. So I think the current Commissioner of Labor in Oklahoma is advocating for State Question 832. So that's one difference I would probably take the stand on. But in going forward in the future is no more of that. But yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about minimum wage for a minute, because a lot of people don't really understand. What's the minimum wage there currently?
It's $7.25, which I believe is the national minimum wage.
Gotcha. So the minimum wage in Washington State is $17.13 an hour. And I've been going around and talking to business owners for the past couple of months. And a lot of these guys that own, and ladies that own coffee stands, they own pizza places, they own restaurants, they've had to fire employees. They've had to let people go. They're running on, a lesser amount of employees, which means the employee has a lot more responsibilities. They have to work harder. There was a couple of places that I know of that the owners just refuse to hire anyone anymore. And it's just, two partners, and they take turns working, and they're able to provide the service that they're able to provide. But for the most part, it cuts the employment down for some of the lower wage workers. I was talking to the owner of a pizza restaurant. It's like he's got all these high school students that want to work there, but they're unable to because he can't pay that many people $17 an hour. So it cuts opportunity at the entry level. Basically, when you look at the ladder of opportunity, those lower rungs are completely chopped off. So someone looking to get some experience, make a little extra cash, they're unable to do that. And some of these entry-level jobs are not meant to be able to buy a house with.
Right.
You know, that's
Well,
not the point
yeah,
of those. If you
yeah,
know, high
they're
school students living with parents, you know, the parents are paying for most of their stuff, like their
exactly
first time job, and it's cutting the opportunity for so many people.
precisely. And the employers who are hiring, uh, people beginning their careers are trying to offer that as a, you know, to help the future generations learn skills and things. But if they can't afford to anymore, it's not ideal. And then it also having an increase in a minimum wage results in an incentive for employers to automate roles. Now, with
Mhm.
today's technology, there's an added incentive to do that, and um, all of a sudden, if they're trying to save money, so um,
Yeah, and it's not just that, but it's going to drive prices up. You know, I just had lunch today, and a burger and a drink with fries was like $34.
yeah,
I was like, this is nuts,
I
right? But
hear
they're having to pay, you know, the employees there
right,
$17 an hour. So
yeah.
they have to charge those higher prices just to be able to sustain the workforce and the inflation on all of the goods that
Well,
they're,
one
you know, all the
one
food.
exactly, and I mentioned a bit ago about the purpose of the Department of Labor, and one of the main ones is to promote the welfare of the wage earners. Well, to me, that means maximum employment. Um, and so, if we want to get to maximum employment, we can't be doing things like raising the minimum wage. Uh, and and the reason I think that's an important goal is maximum employment is because I guess we could envision a situation, an economic condition in the future such that every worker has multiple job offers at their fingertips because uh, because the economy is so good.
Mhm.
Um, then they could negotiate with their employer about not only higher pay, but safer work conditions and other aspects of their job that we don't need government to do everything. So
Yeah.
it's just I think the maximal employment is the primary goal as I would view it in the Department of Labor. So,
Yeah. And not just that, but look at people trying to start businesses. Now it's
mhm.
even more difficult for someone to start a business
Yep,
because they're having to fork out a ton of money, and the barrier to entry is so high as well.
yep, exactly.
So, and that reduces opportunity for people. Let's say one
Yep,
of those, a worker wants to start their own construction company or open their own restaurant. And it's just,
yeah.
it's getting to be unattainable. The American dream is being pushed off.
That kind of ties into another issue with the Labor Department, and that is occupational licensing reform.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd, I'd probably, in the early days, if elected, review all the state licenses that the ODOL oversees and ensure that they are truly for public health or safety, not just guild protection. Because some licenses, like, why is it mandatory for a hair braider to get a license, before they can start working? So it's a barrier to entry for someone just trying to start out in a field. Um, but I'm not saying licenses shouldn't be allowed. I'm just saying not all of them should be mandatory. And
Yep.
so one focus I would have is making sure that any kind of license mandates that the DOL oversees are strictly for safety related or health related items, not not just barriers to entry for no good reason. So
Yeah, the way I look at it is this. You have a hairstylist or a barber, they can advertise that they are licensed. You can have another hairstylist and barber say, you know what, I'm not licensed,
yeah,
but I only charge $10 for a haircut, and the
yeah,
licensed one can charge 20, right?
true.
You want to go to the professional or do you want to go to the novice? That's
Yeah,
completely up to you, but that's your choice.
leave it up to the consumer and make it an option. But yeah,
Yep.
it. And in all fairness, I don't know that the Oklahoma Department of Labor oversees the hairstylist licensing. I don't think it does actually, but it's just they do oversee some. And so I would just
Well,
determine which ones are actually necessary for mandatory. So,
sure, yeah, but the conversations need to happen. And that's what I see libertarian candidates doing. And the purpose is that we're able to bring up these issues that aren't being talked about by the old parties, because the
exactly.
old parties have old solutions that aren't working for America. They aren't working
Yeah,
for small town America or big city America or any America in between that, you know?
that's right.
So,
So,
yep.
exactly right.
Awesome. So, what else are you running on?
Um, well, being that safety is one of the issues for the Oklahoma Department of Labor, I guess my approach would just be to help businesses and workers follow the rules without using the heavy-handed government type tactics. I think it should be the Department of Labor should be there as a more of a consulting role than as a policing role. It should be a facilitator, not there to just hand out punitive fines. So my vision, I guess, would be to move toward a culture of personal responsibility and cooperation rather than just, like one of strict oversight by the state. And then focus on education and voluntary compliance. Um, can empower the workforce to innovate safely. So, yeah, I think most people want high standards for their job sites and their workplaces. I think we can achieve them, while ensuring the government remains a helpful resource that respects the right of every citizen to build a business and earn a living. So.
Yep. Yeah, because that's what this society needs to grow. The economy needs that to grow. And most of these politicians, they don't understand how the economy grows. They don't understand why it crashes. They don't understand that every new regulation, new tax, new whatever that they implement has consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess also related to safety right now, the Oklahoma Department of Labor sends inspectors out, state inspectors, to inspect things like boilers, specialty items that take some skill to inspect, boilers and elevators in buildings.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been thinking, instead of making a business wait for a government inspector to show up, I think they should be allowed to hire their own private inspectors, or use, even better, inspectors that are provided by the insurance companies. Because take an elevator, for example, who's holding the risk if something fails on that elevator? It's the private insurance company. So and so why not have them send inspectors out who would actually have a vested interest in making sure that it's inspected properly. I'm not saying the current inspectors at the state don't. I'm just saying if there's a chance, it could conceivably be that a state inspector gets bribed to just pass something that has no business being passed, or because they don't have a vested interest in making sure it's really safe. They're just there to, so I don't know. That's just an idea, but
that's a great idea, because right now, businesses are having to wait for the inspector to show up. They're losing money. Homeowners are having to wait for inspectors to show up before their contractors can continue on with their jobs, right? Even though these contractors are licensed by the state to do their jobs, right? So what is the point of the licensing then if they have to hold everything up because the state needs to come in and then double check it?
Yeah.
I thought the contractor was licensed. They passed all their tests. They should be good to go, right? But no, it delays everything, costing businesses money, costing homeowners money, and pushes progress backwards.
Right. Absolutely. So I agree. There's I mean, I can't think of a reason why we should wait for a government inspector to show up. And here we even have to pay them, for each inspection. So why not pass that on to the insurance companies? And if the insurance company that's insuring the building that the elevator's in feels like they have to raise their premiums, that's a challengeable thing, because if the elevator were to fail because they didn't inspect it, they'd be out a lot more. So I think there's a good case that could be made for that, and it wouldn't necessarily cost private businesses more, but it could at least streamline part of the government that is, I think, not essential. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of unessential things the government is doing. I believe the role of government is to focus on the basics, protect our natural rights,
Yep.
Provide for the public defense,
Sure.
make sure that the roads and bridges and whatever else are taken care of. But they don't get the basics right. They're not getting the basics right. They're focusing on all of these other things that do not benefit the majority of society, and the majority of society is paying their salaries.
Yeah.
They work for us. People don't realize, government employees don't pay taxes. They think they do. They think they pay taxes, but really, because they're being paid by the taxpayer, whatever the government employee pays in taxes is just a discount on the money being stolen, and being used to pay their salary. So it's not really, it's a net negative, not a net positive. So.
Right. Yeah, it's a drain. I mean, it kind of is on. There's I think, I can't remember how many million government workers there are across the nation. That's why I think it's important to get more libertarians on the ballot. Get more people thinking along these lines, who are in office, who are not there to grow the government's scope or reach, but to actively kind of dismantle the wasteful elements, or the unnecessary parts, and because those can be hurdles put in front of average workers and business owners and stuff. So it's I see it as kind of a necessity almost to at least run for office.
Yeah, and the more libertarian candidates on the ballot, getting this message, getting our messages out there, getting our solutions out there, the more people will hear it, the more people will open their mind to it. There was a time back in 2006, I had no idea what a libertarian was, right? And that there's a lot of people who still don't know, what a libertarian is, right? So but right now, I believe there are more people who are libertarian than ever before. We're seeing it. On social media, it's easier now than ever before to get a message out there, to convey an idea or a solution. And I think it's our time. It is our time to have input in the system that has been hurting so many people. So we need more people like you stepping into office and running, and not just running, once, regardless of what happens, but continuing to step up and offer these different solutions that you won't hear from the old parties.
No, you won't. I don't think they really want to solve the problems. I feel like that's the problem with the duopoly, is they're just there to promote their own careers, and that's their goal.
Make sure they get their pensions.
Yeah, exactly. So
regardless of who they hurt.
No doubt. And that's part of it, is I don't like the idea of, like on a national level, the national debt is just an embarrassment, and I can't conceive of leaving future generations in that much debt, because they're going to be the ones suffering. But nobody in power seems to care. So, but speaking of youth, I mean, one other issue that the Department of Labor might be able to address is youth empowerment. Right now here, if a 14 or 15-year-old wants a summer job, they have to get a work permit. We were talking about licensing earlier, but this is just it's a hurdle to jump over. And so I guess I would make an attempt to streamline that process, and then shift the department's focus from kind of policing the teenage workers to promoting apprenticeships and trades. Make it make it so that, yeah, you should want to get a summer job rather
Yeah.
than making it be a challenge for them. And then,
Yeah, not just a summer job though, but like you said, an apprenticeship, internship in lieu of sophomore year or junior year of high school. There's a lot of kids out there that are stuck in this system that aren't going to go to college. They know they're not going to go to college. They want to become a mechanic and work on cars. They want to go into construction. You know, their dad is a plumber. They want to be a plumber or an
exactly.
electrician or a carpenter. That's what they want. But they have to wait until age 18 before they can even start on that
Yeah.
journey. If
Yeah.
they could start at year 14, you know, by the time they're 18, they could be past the apprentice level and making
Yeah.
journeyman wages or getting close to it,
Yeah.
right? Because they
Oh, I
have now
agree.
4 years of experience.
Yeah,
So,
I totally agree. It would be an improvement for them, an
mhm.
improvement for everybody, really. So our career tech trades and skilled trades here, there's a lot of cutting edge technology being taught. I would encourage youth to check that out as a possible career path. As an alternative to the college only path that many generations felt obligated to do. But I don't know, because then they could enter the workforce without massive debt and
Oh
and
yeah.
secure that specialized skill set that is in very high demand, actually. And it's probably a lot of those jobs are not going to be replaceable by AI or anything, because they're very hands-on type things. So
Sure.
it's part of the future, I believe. So,
Absolutely. All right, Mike, we got about, it looks like 687 people watching live. How do
okay.
they find you? How do they help your campaign?
Oh, sure. Well, my website is Mike Hall for OKLabor2026.org. There it is. Thank you. And can email me at communications.mike.hall.2026@gmail.com. I read all messages. And that's probably it. I'm on X also at Mike Hall 2026. So
Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for running. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say before we call it a night?
Man, Michael, I appreciate what you're doing, and love what you're doing, and I like the movement, and thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. And everyone watching too, if you can contribute to Mike's campaign, 5, 10, $50, do what you can. And thank you so much for watching.
No donations, but just I need help. I have a donate button on my website.
Oh, donate.
Yeah. So, but
geez. Okay. I thought you had a misspelling there.
No, it's kind of humorous, but it's also on the principle, since it's 250 years since 1776. I thought, since the country was founded on bold ideas, let's make this grassroots and don't base it on the size of the bank account. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm going to rewind here. If you want to support Mike, share his stuff on social media. If you know people in Oklahoma, ask them to vote for Mike. Let's push it out that way. And thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of your support for all of the candidates that we have on the show. You guys have a wonderful evening. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks.